Students, let's talk about the mechanism of fertilization. Now, this mechanism of fertilization is the step-by-step process of fertilization, and we are going to learn the mechanism in detail, right? So, the mechanism begins when the sperms are released due to ejaculation. So, when will the sperms get ejaculated? When a male is involved in a sexual intercourse, that time the sperms will be ejaculated. So the ejaculated semen will have some sperms and some secretions. You have already learnt about it. There it is together called as semen. The semen is initially coagulated, that is, it is in the form of clots, right? So slowly it undergoes liquefaction. Slowly the clots become more liquidy and the sperms become activated. So slowly the sperms can move more freely because the coagulated semen has now liquefied. Now let us see the first step in mechanism, that is the movement of sperms towards the egg. How does the sperm find the egg? So capacitation of sperms takes place in the vagina, right? Capacitation of these sperms takes place in vagina. We are going to learn about what is capacitation, right? When the sperms enter the vagina, or when the semen is ejaculated in the vagina, 50% of them are killed. 50% of the sperms are demolished or broken down, or they are destroyed in the vagina itself. So what happens to the remaining 50% of the sperms, right? The sperms undergo capacitation, right? What is happening? The sperms is undergoing a process of capacitation, and this capacitation process takes place or takes 4 to 5 hours, right? So what happens in capacitation? Let's see. The acrosome membrane becomes thin. Remember the cap-like structure present on the sperm, right, which is formed from the Golgi complex. That acrosome membrane becomes thin. Then calcium enters the sperms. The calcium ions make their entry into the sperms. Tail begins to show rapid whip-like movements. So the tail of the sperms shows rapid whip-like movements. The sperms become extra active and they begin to move upwards, right? So they have been deposited in the vagina. They are going to go from the vagina towards the fallopian tubes, right? So they start their journey from vagina. They will enter the uterus and then they will enter the oviducts. Now the prostaglandins activate the sperms. Remember, the prostaglandins are also present inside the semen. So they are the ones who again activate the sperms. The sperms require continuous energy, and that energy is given to them from time to time by different agencies. The prostaglandins also activate the sperms, right? Even the vestibular secretion, the female's body has vestibular glands. You remember Bartholin's glands? Their secretion also activates, or it makes the sperms more active. The sperms swim with a speed of 1.5 to 3 millimeters per minute, right? The sperms reach the ampulla. Ampulla is a place of the fallopian tube where actual fertilization of egg and sperm takes place, right? So how does the sperm reach the ampulla? Right? 3 different processes helps the sperms to reach the ampulla. First is they swim themselves, right? They are swimming with the contraction of uterus, and with the contraction of fallopian tubes, the sperms are able to reach the ampulla part. The oxytocin of the female body also stimulates the movement of sperms towards the ampulla. Now after the capacitation, sperms can reach ampulla within 5 minutes. After providing continuous top of energy by different agencies, first time it was the calcium, then there was the prostaglandins, vestibular secretions, then there is oxytocin. All this help the sperm to swim, and at the end of capacitation, right, the sperms will be able to reach the ampulla within 5 minutes. After they get deposited into the vagina, they will reach the ampulla within 5 minutes for the process of fertilization. The sperms remain viable, right? The sperms are capable of fertilization till what time? They are viable from 24 to 48 hours, that is 2 days, nearly 2 complete days. But egg cannot wait that long. Egg's viability is only 24 hours. If within that time the egg doesn't get fertilized, the fertilization process will never take place. So the sperms are capable of fertilizing the egg for 22 to 48 hours, but the egg is viable only for 24 hours. Let's talk about the second step of mechanism of fertilization, in which let's see how the sperm enters into the egg or the ovum, right? Out of the 200 to 400 million sperms that are deposited into the vagina, only a few are able to reach the ampulla. Only a few of them are able to reach the ampulla. Ampulla is a place in the uterus or in the fallopian tube where fertilization is taking place, and this, out of 200 to 400 million, only few sperms are reaching there, right? But out of those few also, only a single sperm will get a chance to fertilize the egg, right? So sperms after the release, or sperms after reaching the ovum, comes to lie against the egg, right? So after the sperms are reaching the ovum, they come to lie close to the egg. So if the egg is there, the sperm will lie close to the egg, right? Now the sperm's acrosome, that is the cap part of the sperm head, it releases two types of enzymes, hydrolytic enzymes. The lysins, the lysine is called as hyaluronidase, whereas some corona penetrating enzymes are released by the acrosome, right? These enzymes that are released by the acrosome will dissolve the outermost layer of the ovum, that is corona radiata, and the sperm is able to reach the zona pellucida, that is the next inner layer of around the egg. The zona pellucida has fertilizing receptor proteins. So the zona pellucida is not going to allow the sperms to enter, right? It has a fertilizing receptors, unless and until anti-fertilizing comes and it exactly fits into that fertilizing. Till that time, this zona pellucida is not going to allow the sperms to cross that particular layer. So zona pellucida have fertilizing receptor proteins, and those fertilizing receptor proteins are ZP3, ZP2, right? Now fertilizing of zona pellucida will bind to the acid protein that is produced by the sperm, and it is called as anti-fertilizing, right? So if consider this as a consider my hand as a fertilizing receptor, right? Unless and until a proper anti-fertilizing comes and binds here, the layer is not going to allow the sperms to penetrate that layer of the egg, right? So fertilizing of zona pellucida binds to the anti-protein of anti-fertilizing of the sperm. So what is that anti-protein? It is called as anti-fertilizing. So fertilizing binds to anti-fertilizing, and if that happens, then only the sperm is allowed to enter to the layer, inner layer, that is vitelline membrane. It brings about attraction of sperms to the egg, and it enhances fertilization. Now this fertilizing anti-fertilizing reaction that takes place, it increases the attraction of the sperms towards the ovum, and thus the sperms get very closely attracted to the eggs. So the fertilizing anti-fertilizing interaction is species specific, right? Why I say so, right? If I am a human, if I have fertilizing, so I will require a human in anti-fertilizing, right? Then only my egg is going to allow the sperm to penetrate into the ova, right? So it is said that the fertilizing anti-fertilizing interaction is species specific, means the egg of a monkey will require a sperm of a monkey, then only the fertilizing anti-fertilizing interaction will take place. If egg is of a cat, the sperms have to be of a cat, then only the fertilizing and anti-fertilizing interaction will take place. That means that an egg of one species will not allow the sperms of any other species to come and fertilize the egg, and that is called as compatibility reaction. So the mechanism of fertilization, the second part is entry of sperms into the egg, and in this particular part the acrosome reaction is an important event. We need to understand how the acrosome reaction takes place. Now the acrosome is the tip portion of the sperm. This is the part which is called as acrosome. When it touches the zona pellucida, right, this is an egg or ovum, this is zona pellucida, and as soon as the sperm touches the layer of zona pellucida, the acrosome covering ruptures. So what happens, this covering breaks open and it releases enzymes, right? That acrosome releases enzymes. The enzymes are lytic enzymes, and those lytic enzymes are also known as acrosin or zonalysin, right? So what is released when the acrosome membrane ruptures? It releases acrosin or zonalysin, which are the secretions of they are the lytic enzymes which are secreted by the sperm acrosome, right? So this acrosin or this zonalysin, this lytic enzyme acts at the point of contact, and this causes the egg reaction. So as soon as the secretions are released or the lytic enzymes are released, the sperms comes closer in contact with the egg cell. Now the sperm comes in contact with the egg membrane, right? This causes the egg reaction, right? As soon as the sperm touches the egg reaction is seen. What kind of reaction is shown by the egg? A small fertilization cone or cone of receptions form on the egg membrane. So you can see that this is an egg membrane and a small fertilization cone or a cone of reception is formed on the egg membrane. The head of the sperms come in contact with the cone and it causes a weak wave of depolarization. So as soon as this sperm touches this receptive cone, a weak wave of depolarization is set inside the egg, right? The plasma membrane of the sperm and the ovum dissolves at contact. So what happens? The sperm's plasma membrane and the ovum's plasma membrane dissolve at wherever the contact is made, and the sperm puts its egg. The egg already has its nucleus. The sperm releases its nucleus inside the egg. At the same time, the centrioles are put in, right? Rest of the sperm body stays outside the egg, right? So the plasma membrane of sperm and the ovum dissolves at contact, and sperm nucleus and centriole enters the egg. Rest of the sperm remains outside the egg. Now the sperms contact with the vitelline membrane, right? The cortical region gets activated. Let us see the reaction. The sperm is in contact with the vitelline membrane, that is the egg membrane, right? Because of that contact, the cortical region gets activated. So the cortex of the egg gets activated. The vitelline membrane gets converted into fertilization membrane. So as soon as the sperm comes in contact with vitelline membrane, that is the egg membrane, a reaction is triggered and the vitelline membrane now gets converted into fertilization membrane. Correct? Then after this fertilization membrane is because of the formation of fertilization membrane, the sperm receptors of zona pellucida are deactivated. Remember, there were receptors on the zona pellucida, which they were the fertilizin, right? Those receptors gets deactivated and a firm membrane around the egg is formed and it is called as fertilization membrane. Because of this membrane, no other sperm will be able to fertilize this egg. If one sperm has already done its job, as soon as the job is done, a fertilization membrane forms around the egg, which does not allow the entry of any other sperm into the egg cell, right? And that is how the polyspermy is avoided. So a single egg getting fertilized by many sperms, this particular process is avoided because of the formation of fertilization membrane. Students, in the activation of ovum, it is the third step of mechanism of fertilization. Again, an important event that you need to understand, right? When the ovum was released into the oviduct, or when the ovum came into the oviduct, it was incomplete meiosis 2. That is, metaphase 2 was incomplete, or the egg got arrested in metaphase 2. As soon as the sperm's head comes in contact with the egg, right? So if that is a sperm and if that is an egg and if that is a sperm, as soon as the contact in between the sperm and the egg takes place, the vitelline membrane of the egg, as soon as it comes in contact with the head of the sperm, the eggs get activated and the activation leads to the completion of meiosis 2. So the meiosis 2 gets completed and a second polar body is formed. The germinal vesicle, which is the nucleus of the egg, organizes into female pronucleus. Remember, the nucleus grows in size, and after the female or the germinal vesicle grows in size, you call it as a female pronucleus, and now the egg can be called as true egg or true ovum. Now let us talk about fusion of egg and sperms. The fusion of egg and sperms takes place in a peculiar way, right? The male pronuclei and the female pronuclei will lie close to each other. Their membranes will degenerate, right? The covering of the male pronuclei and female pronuclei will degenerate, which will allow the chromosomes of both the nuclei to pair, right? Because one chromosome is with the male nucleus, the other chromosome is with female nucleus. So pairing of those chromosomes will take place. It results into synkaryon. Syn means fusion, karyon means fusion of nucleus. Karyon means nuclei. So fusion of nucleus. The process is also called as syngamy, that is fusion of gametes, or it is also called as karyogamy, that is fusion of the nucleus. As a result of this fusion, first cell of new life is formed, and that is zygote. The zygote, after the formation of zygote, the proximal centriole, which was donated by the sperm, helps in spindle formation. So spindle formation takes place and the zygote divides for the first time. A single zygote will cleave and produce two cells, and these two cells are called as blastomeres. The newly formed cells after the division of zygote, the cells are called as blastomeres. Let's talk about the significance of fertilization, a question which is asked in the exams. So what is so significant or what is so important about fertilization, right? Let us talk about the first significance, the secondary oocyte, right? It completes the process of oogenesis. Remember, the oogenesis is incomplete. The egg or the secondary oocyte has not yet completed its meiosis 2, right? So after the sperm touches the vitelline membrane of the egg, the oogenesis gets completed, right? And the secondary oocyte gets transformed into mature ovum. Remember, every menstrual cycle, if this doesn't happen, the oogenesis is incomplete till the time the sperm touches the vitelline membrane of the egg. So in the event of fertilization, the first thing that happens is oogenesis gets complete, meiosis gets completed, and the secondary oocyte gets transformed into a mature ovum. The diploid chromosome number is restored, the gametes were haploid, and to begin a life or to begin a human life, the chromosome number should be diploid. So when the haploid gametes come together, a diploid cell is formed, so the diploid chromosomes are restored, right? So the diploidy is restored because of syngamy. The ovum lacks the centriole. Ovum does not have the centriole, and centrioles are necessary for cell division, for further division, and these centrioles are received from the sperms. Remember, so if the sperms do not donate those centrioles, no matter how or what happens, the egg will never divide itself into, or it will never undergo further divisions. Then fertilization involves fusion of male and female gametes from the two parents. So the gametes are coming from two different parents. So the two different parents are donating their two different characters to the offsprings, and because of which the offsprings produce variations, and variations are necessary for evolution to take place. The sex of the offspring is determined because of the process of fertilizations. Otherwise, remember, asexual reproduction, we cannot tell what will be the sex of the individual that is born.